Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our first webinar in Bluehost onboarding. You are more than likely a new customer, and we wanted to give you some support in starting your website journey with Bluehost. So hopefully you find this helpful, and we'll be able to walk through some of the things you may need the most help with. First, we want to have you do a little housekeeping. So we want to make sure that you can actually hear us. To the right side of your screen, there's a little hand on your tab. If you can click that to make sure you can hear me, that will let me know that that the audio is going well today. Okay, it looks like we got some people listening. Perfect. Also to the right side, you'll see a questions window. That will be where you go in to ask questions throughout the session. We'll try to answer as many of those as possible live or by chat, responding back to you. Anything that we don't get to, we'll try to get to you later and respond to you by email if possible. Please note this webinar is being recorded. We will send it to you at the end of the session, probably tomorrow. You'll have access to our slides as well as the recording. So hopefully that will help you in case you have any questions that you want to go back and review for later. I will start with saying my name is Michelle. I am the content manager here at Bluehost, and I will be walking you through this first webinar today. As a note, if you need any help during the session, if the sound goes out or you can't see the screen, anything like that, go ahead and contact. It's usually easier to close out the session and then rejoin. That usually will fix the problem. If it doesn't, contact the GoToWebinar support team at the number you see here on your screen, and they should be able to walk you through any questions you may have. Perfect. So today we will be talking about starting your website journey, getting acquainted with your cPanel, which is basically your control panel on the back end side, which is the Bluehost dashboard. We'll also talk about building your site, caring for your site, and engaging with your audience. So let's walk through some of those things today. This will probably go a little quickly. There's a lot of content to cover, but we want to make sure we answer any questions. So feel free to answer those or ask those questions in the chat window today during the session. Okay, so starting your website journey. First, when you first sign on with us, you'll get an email that will tell you to click here to change your password. It'll give you some details that show your domain, server, username, all that information that you want to hold on to, make sure you have it. But the first thing you want to do here is actually change your password. You're going to get a very generic password to start off. So you want to click change my password, and a new window will open to have you do that. If anyone has not received that, please let us know in the questions panel or in the chat box. So once you click on that, change my password now, you'll come to the screen that shows you to reset your password. Here you're going to use your domain name to log in, and then the reset link will show up to the right-hand corner screen where you can click there to reset it, enter your domain name, and then create a new password. This part should be fairly simple to follow, but if you have any questions, let us know. Now, when you're creating your new password, it's really important to consider numbers, symbols, uppercase, lowercase, letters. All these things are really going to help you to protect your site. If there's any phishing attempts or any type of fraudulent activity trying to happen, people generally try to hack your password. And if they can find the password that you used for your Capital One credit card, they may try it on multiple different places. So you want to make sure this password is unique to your Bluehost account and that it's something that's not easily recognizable. Something like your birth date would not be a good idea. Something like your street address, also not a great idea. So just a few tips for that when you're creating a password. Next, once you create that, you're going to see the congratulations. You have now successfully created a new password and can log into your account. And this is where all of the fun begins. This is where you get to start building and learning the backend side and your WordPress site, hopefully if you're using WordPress. Okay, so now you're going to log into your account using the information that you just created. So you're going to click login again, and then from there we're going to ask you 3 questions. These questions are super helpful in us understanding what content to serve you, which products may work better for you, and also giving us an understanding of what our customers are using. This helps us to create unique content, like for example, this webinar, right? We recognize that people are needing help with building their site, so we created a webinar like this in order to give you that support. So if you have the time, we suggest you go ahead and put that in here. There you can choose like what type of site. It can be an e-commerce site, a blog, a website, a portfolio, even if you're a designer or a photographer or something like that. It's just really helpful for us to understand what you're building. And then you can choose the type as well in that drop down. If you're unsure of any of these things at this time, you can add in what you have and then click continue, or you can click skip this step. We don't suggest doing that. Like I said, it's useful information that we can give you here, but we understand that not everyone has, the information at the time that they're creating their site. Who you're creating your site for is helpful if you say, I'm creating it for myself, or if I'm managing multiple sites or creating it for other people. That's really giving us a lot of information on what we can do to help serve you in your website building journey. Okay, so now we're going to ask you a little bit more. What do you want to name your site? Is this if it's Michelle, for me, if it's Michelle's blog, I may want to name it Michelle's blog. This will appear at the top of your website when you actually publish. Also a tagline. So if I say, this is a blog about Michelle's travel adventures and good eats here in Austin, Texas, something like that, that would show up and it would give search engines information about my website to be able to identify what my blog is talking about. These things are understandably not always the first thing you think of when you create your site for the first time, but you can add whatever you want here if you choose to and change it later, or you can choose to not add it at all. It is important to choose whether you want to add a blog or to sell anything on your site. This is going to basically say, if you're creating a website, do you need to have a blog portion of that site as well? I would always suggest as a marketer that you have a blog for multiple reasons. A blog, even if you don't, use it regularly or write on it all the time, is a great opportunity for you to give SEO value to your website. Anytime you create a blog, you're giving more opportunities to create content, and that content is what Google will use to crawl your site and say, I wonder what this website is about. So even if you're creating an e-commerce store that sells t-shirts, you can write a blog about any new t-shirt designs you come out with, or any exciting collaborations you did with maybe a local designer or something like that. That gives more information to your site, more content equals better SEO. So you really want to consider that. If you don't want to sell anything, definitely don't choose that option. But if you do, that's great to choose, because it'll basically figure out which plugins you need in order to start building your website. We will talk a little bit later about what plugins are, so don't panic if you don't know just yet. And then, are you comfortable with creating websites? This, again, is valuable information for us to understand whether you know what you're doing, whether you're just starting out, and how much information we should give you and feed you while you're in your cPanel. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about themes. So once you've clicked on your site, you've logged in and you're deciding a theme, we're going to give you the option now to say, hey, do you want to pick a free or premium theme? Free themes are basically thousands of themes that are available from WordPress. If you're not using WordPress, please let us know in the chat window. But essentially, it's going to give us a lot of information about, it's going to give you a lot of options to choose a design. So a theme is basically the design of your website. It's the clothes that your website puts on. So when somebody goes to michellestravelblog.com, they click on it, they see exactly the look and feel that I want them to see. You're prompted to select either a free or a premium one. Premium just basically means it's paid. So you can purchase it from a third-party WordPress theme shop, a marketplace, or a developer. The main difference to understand here is that premium themes sometimes come with additional support. So for example, if you choose a theme and you decide later, hey, I don't really know if this theme would work well with this plugin that I want to use, or if it would be able to do this feature that I want, you can go and potentially ask that theme developer or creator to say, hey, I have questions about this theme that I downloaded. Can you answer that for me? And a lot of times that'll give you extra support, sometimes by email, sometimes by phone calls, sometimes just by chat, just depending on who the theme is built by. A free theme, I don't want to scare anyone to think that you need a premium theme all the time. Some people want them for additional functionality or additional design elements that they like. A free theme, anything that's within the WordPress marketplace, has already been vetted. It's already been checked for malicious code to make sure that it won't try to take down your site or anything like that. So no fear, WordPress has done a lot of work to make sure you are safe by choosing themes that are within their marketplace. Awesome. So this is still within your onboarding flow. So like as you're logging into your website, these are the things that are going to pop up. So that theme is going to pop up, and it'll ask you to choose one at that time. As a note, you can change this anytime in the future. Themes are something that I've changed the theme, I think, before once a week, just to see which one I liked better with the overall look and feel of my website. So it's not something you have to stick with. It's not something you have to be married to. Also, if you don't choose a theme, you'll automatically be pushed into the default theme, which this year is 2020. It's something that the builders of WordPress created. And it kind of showcases the additional functionality that comes out on each year. So in 2021, there'll be another theme called 2021. There's one for 2019, 2018, and so forth. So that theme is perfectly functioning. It does well. So if you want to use that first and decide what you want to do with your site, and then choose a theme later, you're welcome to do that. We will talk through that as well during this session. So no need to choose one right now. You will automatically get your default theme. So once you actually log in, at that point, you're going to see your dashboard, your cPanel dashboard. And this is basically where you're going to see everything that Bluehost wants to tell you, walk you through, and all the different options you can use to choose new add-on products, to search for, add your email, your domains, anything like that. Also like your SSL certificate and things like that as well. So you'll be directed to the Bluehost cPanel, which is the home base for your account information. And we have this guide here that's you'll see to the right of the screen, and it tells you the step-by-step things you need to do in order to publish your site. This is a very short list of things that you should do, the least amount of things you need to do to get live. So if you're one of those people that, you know, hey, if I don't do it all right now, I'm probably not going to get back to it. This is a great checklist to be like, hey, I've chosen a theme, I've customized my design a little bit, I've added a contact page, which is one of the most important things you should do when creating a site, so that people know who you are, what you are, and how they can get in touch with you. I've added content to my site, whether that be just my main static page that someone sees when they go to my website, or a blog post, and I've imported an image, a logo, or something similar to that that makes my website stand out from everyone else. So that's a great checklist to use to make sure you haven't forgotten anything before you go live. You can also use this to see what you've skipped and go back to complete as you are working through your site. So you don't have to do everything all at once, but it gives you that option and that opportunity to go back and kind of double check your work and make sure you've done everything you need to do to go live, which is the ultimate goal here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the cPanel, then we'll get into WordPress specifically and how that works. Okay, so in the cPanel, you'll see a couple of options to the left-hand side, and these are the different menu options to choose from to get to different places within your cPanel. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the list. We're going to go through these one by one and talk about what they offer and things that you need to know to get through your website. So when you click on My Sites, it's going to basically show you all of the WordPress sites that you have. If you are just brand new and you only have one website, it's really easy. It'll say, hey, if you see here, this next to the W, there's a 2019 that's showing that somebody's using the 2019 theme. You can click on it. You can either choose to log into your site there or manage your site within your cPanel. So if you want to log into your WordPress site where that red circle is, that's going to take you actually into the WordPress dashboard, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So this window is basically going to show you all the sites that you have with Bluehost. The Bluehost Marketplace, which is the next option on the list, features a collection of services and products that can assist you in boosting the design or the functionality of your website. When you visit it, you have access to a lot of themes, a lot of plugins. There's also exclusive pricing to help you hit the goal that you're looking for, and to build a website that you can be proud of, really. So we have options like services and add-ons that you can choose, like Bluehost SEO tools, which helps you walk through step by step the things that you can do on your site to improve your SEO score. That's something that, you know, once you've built your site out a little bit, or if you're wanting to start out early on to get that kind of score indicator of how you're doing, that's a great tool to add on. But there's also a lot more options there. I don't want to go through all of those right now because it can be a little overwhelming. And I'm sure all of you are focused on building your website. So we want to get to that part a little bit. But this is what the marketplace looks like. So here it's basically, these are some things you can do to see to choose to figure out how to build a better website. So you can add a website, you can choose the add-ons here. You can go into our pro services, which are professional services like website design, marketing services, things like that if you need help with those. Also, WordPress hosting, themes, and plugins. So the different types of options that we have for all of those. If you find, hey, I really, I chose shared hosting, but I really think I need a better or a more upgraded hosting package, you can change those things right there within the marketplace. So all one-stop shop. Next on the list is going to be email. We heavily suggest having an email, especially one that's directly related to your website. This makes your website, your business look a lot more professional when it has, your name. It's Michelle at bluehost.com is a lot more official than, Michelle at iCloud.gmail. Whatever, those options are. So we definitely suggest considering an email provider. We do have a couple of options with Microsoft 365 or G Suite if you have a preference on those. There's other options as well. So you want to make sure that you are doing that at some point. This is not necessary to do before you launch your website, but maybe before you're promoting, your site within social media or things like that. You also can access your email within the dashboard as well. So it's a good place to be a one-stop shop to get access to things, click through to actually open up your email, and then you can go from there. So let's talk a little bit about domains. Domains are the things that are used to basically be the online address to your website, right? So you can have multiple domains depending on the type of hosting plan you've selected. You may have one domain, you may have multiple domains. You can also have parked domains, which basically means, hey, here's a domain that I purchased that I didn't want anyone else to steal, and I want to save it for when I'm ready to use it later. You can park it and purchase it and park it, and basically it just means that when you're ready to use it, you can go in and connect it to a hosting package or upgrade your hosting if necessary in order to get that domain live and have a website connected to it. So here you can go through your domains. You can also transfer domains. If you are transferring a domain out, that's one thing. But if you're trying to pull a domain into your account here from a different company, for example, I've had domains that I purchased from other places before, and I've moved them to Bluehost. You would need to go into that company's cPanel, get the link, the code that you need to get, and you can put that into your domains section here in order to add a domain from a different registrar, basically. A registrar just basically means the person who sold you the domain, who registers domains, or the company. So this is pretty simple here. Let us know if there's any questions there. But now this is the biggest part, which is walking into your WordPress site. So now that you've seen a little bit of the different options on your cPanel, we're going to talk about logging into WordPress. So when you click on that My Sites again, that section that we had earlier, you're going to click on Login. There are two options to log in. Some people prefer to log in directly through WordPress. Others prefer to log in through their Bluehost cPanel. If you're already in your cPanel, there's no point in then typing in the URL to your website to log in through WordPress. But if you're already there, you can just click log in here and it'll pull it up for you directly. Super easy, super seamless process. So now that you're building your site, you're going to want to learn how to navigate the WordPress admin dashboard. So I know there's two dashboards, there's two things you need to learn to navigate, but this is fairly simple. It's a little more complicated than the Bluehost cPanel, but we have a lot of tools to help you understand this. So we're going to walk through it here, and I'm also going to talk about a guide that we have that will help to aid in this understanding of WordPress. So again, there's two options to log in. If you're logging in through your website directly, so if my website is michellestraveladventures.com, I would go to michellestraveladventures.com/WP login. That would put me into my login screen. So a different option to log in there. Once you get in, you're going to see this lovely dashboard here and lots of options on what to choose, what to look at. you're a Bluehost customer, so you'll see this Bluehost plugin right here. So you'll click there and you'll be able to access a number of things, a number of really important things, like staging. We're not going to talk about that in this session, but do understand that staging is a great place for you to go and test functionality if you want to change your theme and make sure it doesn't change any of the content on your site. If you want to go in and change your, add a plugin, you want to make sure it doesn't break your site or cause an issue, or if you want to create new content or new pages, you can go in and create them. And before you publish them, you can go and look at them in staging and make sure it looks exactly how you want it to look before you push it live. This is especially important for websites that have a lot of traffic already, because if you have a lot of traffic and you're testing out new things, you can lose out on a lot of lead generation if you have like a plugin that has a pop-up window for capturing email addresses for people who come into your site, or if you have a website that has a lot of traffic to buy or purchase, like an e-commerce store or something like that. You really want to make sure that these things are working before you go live and potentially lose business or lead generations by emails and things like that. So Bluehost staging plugin is absolutely free to use. You can choose that option and create a version of your site. It'll basically pull a version of your site today, and then you can go and make changes and pull another version and basically see what that site looks like before it's live. Also, you have the option for the marketplace again. You can find different things. You have a quick access to add a new blog post if you're creating a blog or creating a new page. If you're selling products or services through WooCommerce, which is an online store plugin through WordPress, you can do all that stuff really quickly within your Bluehost plugin. There's a lot of stuff that's even being built out here to make it even better, but this plugin is super useful for people who are trying to figure out how to navigate their site and what things they want to do in a really quick and easy view. So now that you've seen what this looks like, let's talk about the actual dashboard. So when you look to the left-hand side, the options for the dashboard, you'll see here, and you'll see your welcome to WordPress. And then this is going to be what WordPress actually wants you to see within their dashboard. So here you can do a quick draft. The quick draft is basically like a quick post. So if you have a quick thought you want to get out without publishing a full blog post, also on the mobile app, great opportunity to do that. You can click a title and you can start writing what's on your mind, and you can save it to where maybe you get back to your computer and you can do that later. I love this option because I have a lot of, as a writer, I have a lot of thoughts that come to my mind, and I don't always want to go in and create a new post right then. I just want to have a quick draft option to get some things out and then save it for later so I can go back and prioritize what to do first. Also, within the WordPress dashboard, there's these next step options. This is super helpful too, outside of our Bluehost checklist. This is also super helpful in knowing what you should create. One of the first things is writing your blog post if you have a blog, obviously, introducing yourself, introducing what your blog is about, things like that. Also, your about page is the same concept. So if you don't have a blog, for example, and it's a portfolio, your about page is the most important thing that's on your site. People need to know how to get in touch with you. They need to know who you are. We're in a world where people are really interested in the person behind the business and not just the business itself. So it's super helpful for you to say like, hey, I'm Michelle, I love to travel, I live here, I do, these are things I like to do. These are the types of things you can find on my page or my website. Let's connect if you want to talk further. Also, this is a perfect place to link your social media to get people to connect with you in other places and get those brand loyal people that are actually interested in seeing your content at a later time. You also can set up your homepage, and in WordPress, you can choose for your homepage to be a static kind of, meaning not changing page, or it can be like a blog post repository, basically, where it pulls your latest blog posts and it shows that as the first thing on your site. There's a lot of different options there. If you have an online store, you have a standard homepage, and then people can choose to go into your menus, and then from your menus, they can choose different items within your online store as well. So you can set up your homepage, you can view your site before it goes live, you can view it in general as you're making changes every day. It's a great place to get there. Also, underneath the quick draft section, you'll see your recent drafts. So if I have a post that I clearly need to go back and correct from my super cool blog in 2019, You can go in there, click on it. That'll take you within the blog post, and you can see make any changes, edits, or publish it to go live. Also, right under here, not fully pictured, but this WordPress events and news. This will tell you if there's any WordPress updates that are coming out, if there's a WordPress event near your area. So it's geo-targeted. So if I'm in Austin, it might tell me that there's an Austin meetup that's coming up for people who are interested in WordPress or learning more about WordPress. It may tell me that there's a WordCamp, which is basically an event. I know this year events are a little bit different, but essentially an event to where people can come together and you sit through, it's a conference, and you sit through a panel of speakers, different speakers throughout the day, and you can kind of choose your path. You know, if you're a developer, you can choose a developer path to listen to developer talks all day, or you can listen to marketing talks or business related in general, or WordPress in general kind of topics. So that's really, I think, a great place to look if you're looking for support within your area. Joining that meetup, even if you don't go live in person these days, joining that meetup can get you an opportunity to meet a lot of really great people who may have a lot of insights on building websites or on advice for you while you're building out your business as well. I've met a lot of great people there. Okay, so the dashboard features, basically, like we talked about, is at a glance, which is stats on your WordPress content, activities like recent posts or comments. So if you have a blog or a page that you have your comments open, you can kind of see what people are saying recently about your site or on a post of yours. You can also do the quick drafts that I just talked about, or the WordPress news section. WordPress, you know, just as an FYI, in case you are not familiar with WordPress at all, WordPress is a CMS, which is a content management system, but it's actually considered open source. And open source basically means that it's built for anybody, anywhere in the world, by anybody and everybody in the world. So I know that can be a little confusing, but essentially there's a team of volunteers from all over the world. I've sat on a few of these teams as well, where they are creating this software, this content management system that allows people to get online and kind of just harness their power of the web and create a site that's all theirs. And WordPress's kind of mission is to democratize publishing, which basically means give everyone the opportunity to publish in whatever place they need to publish, whatever status, like if they're, you know, if they need an accessible website, or, you know, making accessible friendly websites, making blogs, online stores, all those different things. It's really a great and unique community, and I would heavily suggest getting involved in your local community if possible, to help you on your journey. Like I said, a lot of these people are marketers, they're business owners, they're developers, and those friendships can lead to a lot of great networking opportunities within your area for your business in the future. So outside of the left-hand side navigation bar that we just talked about, you also have the option at the top upper navigation panel. So there you can click on WordPress. Here you can go to your welcome page. You can also, if you're live, you can choose this coming soon active section. We'll say my site. You can click that to see your site live today. You can do plus sign to add a new post or page from there. Lots of cool things you can do on there. We're not going to focus too heavily on it right now because most of you probably have not published just yet, but it's an option for you to navigate there. So let's talk a little bit about users. I'm not sure if any of you are solopreneurs, or if you have multiple people managing your site, like a developer or a designer that's helping you. Feel free to drop that in the questions menu to let us know, you know, who you all are and what you're needing help with, and also what type of site you're running. I think that'd be really helpful for me to know what to focus on here. But if you're adding new users, for example, if I have a blog and I have people who are contributing to my blog, I can create them to be different levels of WordPress users. So administrator means they have full access to everything on your site. This is a huge, I won't say it's a security risk, but it's a huge thing to consider when you're giving people access. You only want people to have the access that they actually need. So if I have a developer who's redesigning or recoding my site or changing something or something like that, they'll have to have admin access. But if I have a writer who's just contributing blog posts, they don't need that. If there's an editor, that could be someone who's co-managing your blog, who doesn't have access to administrative functions, but they can manage any post, any page, or created by another user or by themselves. An author is going to be someone who can only manage their own things. So if I have a contributor to a blog, I might do that to where they can go in and write it all out and publish it. If I don't, if I have a new writer that I'm not sure, like, hey, I don't really know that I trust you publishing just yet, I might make them a contributor, because then they can write and manage a post, but they can't publish it. So then you can go in and review it, do your audit or edit, and then make sure you like it before you publish it to go live. A subscriber is someone who can only see the site and manage their profile. So this would be something that I would use for like a guest blogger. So if I had someone who worked outside of my company, even at Bluehost, right? Someone who works outside of my company that says, hey, I want to contribute a blog. I wouldn't want to give them access to anything, really. I would just want to create a name for them to where their name shows up as the author. And I would want to go ahead and let them, I would want to go ahead and publish it myself. So basically their name would be able to show up as an author, but they wouldn't be able to do anything on your site. This is something I really suggest going through if you have a lot of people, potentially every 6 months or so, or whenever someone is leaving your business or coming into your business. This is one of the first things you should go to and remove their access or change their access as needed based on their status with your company or your brand. Okay, so when you're creating a new user, so like to actually create the user, you're going to click over here to the left-hand navigation menu. You'll choose users, add new, or you can view your profile here as well. So when you click on add new, it's going to take you into a screen to give you to ask you what their access should be. So they have to have a username. So for me, my name is Michelle Thomas. I might do N Thomas. You have to put their email, so an email is associated to that account. Their first and last name, and then their website if you want to. This is not anything you have to do. And then their password. So if you want to create a temporary password, you can click show it if you want to see it yourself. But if you don't send them notification under the send user notification, they won't know they got a new account unless you tell them. So really important to click that if you want them to get an email. And then also here, the biggest part of this page is choosing their role accurately. What do you want them to have access to out of the users that we just talked about? Are they going to be an admin? Are they going to be an editor, a subscriber? Whatever that is, click add new user. It'll shoot them an email that tells them how to log in. They'll log in and they're now able to use your admin dashboard as well. So this is gonna, like I said, this is gonna send them that email. Make sure you enter their email correctly. I've had a couple times where, if you have somebody that's outside of your company, maybe just copy and pasting the email here is super easy. The username can be anything you want. It's not it's not special necessarily, but it's going to be the thing that they use to log in. Okay, so now we're going to talk about a theme. So we talked about earlier how you can choose a theme now when you first start onboarding with Bluehost, or you can choose a theme later. So this is the choose a theme later option, or if you have already chosen one, so right here, defaulted to 2019, right? But if you decide, hey, I had that theme, but I don't really love it, I want to try something else, you can go and find a new one. There's lots of options here for featured, popular, latest, favorites, and premium. So if you know for a fact, like, I want to see what premium themes are out there, you can click there and see what options there are. Popular is I actually do most of the things I do through Popular just because I know that they've been used the most. And they probably have a lot of history and a lot of feedback and reviews and things like that. So you're going to choose the theme, and then you're going to choose to add a theme. If you already purchased a premium or a paid theme, you'll need to choose the option to upload it here. So it'll say add themes and then upload. This is going to allow you to upload the file. So usually when you buy a theme, you go to that themes store, you download it, you purchase it, it'll download to your computer, and then you have to upload it somewhere. So you'd upload it here, and then it would become one of the themes here that you have of yours. As a note, you can have as many themes as you want available. You don't have to have them all live on your site, but if you say like, hey, I'm going through the featured category and I want to install this one and also the imagery theme and the Pro PowerPress Lite, and then later I'll decide which one I like, so I don't have to go through and remember each of them right in this moment. You can install all of them. They'll be in your WordPress admin, like in your theme category catalog, but you don't have to make all of them live. Only one of them will be live at any given time. So don't feel like you have to remember which one you liked without installing more than one at a time. That's totally fine. Also here, you'll see the option for a feature filter. So when you're choosing to add theme, you can choose feature filter. That will allow you to choose themes based on certain parameters that you need. So for example, if I know I'm building an e-commerce site, I might choose e-commerce here. And I know that I wanted to have custom colors and a custom logo option. And I know that it wants me to have, I wanted to have a grid layout that has, multiple things on one page, not necessarily like you scroll through an infinite list of things. It's like a grid. So you can choose the different things that you like as far as layout, and that'll give you some options that are closer to what you might like. It'll look something like this once you do it. So here we're filtering by blog. We want blog, but we also want it to be a news blog. We want it to be able to have a custom background, custom colors, custom header. We want it to be 2 columns and a left sidebar. So this is like what that list looks like now. So you see here, this one, advanced blogging is installed. This is what it looks like after you've installed one already. It'll tell you like, hey, you already have that one. But you can go and choose another one if you think you might like another one later as well. So this is kind of what it looks like. You can choose from there based on which one you actually really like, or want to push live to your site later. Now let's talk a little bit about the customizer. So you may hear this if you listen to any of our future webinars, or if you go back and listen to any of our older ones. The WordPress customizer is where you're going to go within that left-hand navigational menu. You'll choose appearance, which is going to take you to themes. If you choose themes, that's where you're going to go to purchase or find a new theme. But if you choose customize, that's going to take you to the WordPress customizer. This is going to be actually where you do all of your custom things for your site. So if you need to change your color, like maybe your color is like a light blue or a dark blue, but that theme that you have downloaded is a pink right now, you go in there and that's where you change it. You click there to change your background images, to add your logo, all the different things like that that make your site unique. So once you get into it, you'll see this. So this here is going to tell you whether your site is published or not yet. And then it'll tell you basically what you're changing. So remember earlier when we said, hey, you can choose a blog title or a site title and a tagline. This is where that would show up. You can change this at any time, as often as you like. There's no rules on anything like that. Also here, you can choose to add a logo, a site icon. That's going to be basically what shows up on your site later, to where people can see your actual physical logo. There's also some other things that you can see obviously here, like general settings, which will be maybe where you find some of the, do I want my website to be a blog that shows as soon as you come to my homepage? Do I want it to be a welcome page? Whatever that is, you do that under general. Also, you can do it under homepage, depending on what the theme is. Not all themes are created equal. So not all of them will have these exact settings that you see here. So be very aware that like some of them will have maybe only 4 or 5 options. Some of them will have more depending on what the theme is and how it's built out. Here you can change custom colors. You can add a background image to your site if you want that. Your font, you can change all those things. Also your menus. So if you want your menus to say, if you wanted to say something like, home, about me, contact us, purchase now, or something like that, buy now, that's where you create your menus, what you want those to look like and where you want those to be. We won't talk too much about widgets right now, but widgets are little bitty pieces of code that you can add to your site to do a lot of random things, really. It can be something like, on the right-hand side of my screen, you see, or the right-hand side of my site, you see like a little box that tells you the last thing someone said on social media. It can be a lot of different things, a variety of things, and you can choose different widgets within that customizer as well. But one of the first things we suggest doing is to add a logo. This is, again, what makes your brand unique. If you don't have one yet, don't fret. Not every type of business needs a super custom logo. There's also a lot of logo makers out there that you can do for free, or you can purchase through like Fiverr or something like that, where you can get a number of designers to kind of design potential logos for you based on your requirements or suggestions. You can incorporate it by going into the media library. That's where you can add images, videos, or other things that you can use anywhere in your site, not just on your homepage, not just on your logo, basically anywhere you want. So don't feel like you have to create all this right now, but these are just some things to help you be successful when you're creating your site and get the most out of it. So once you're in there, you can click to upload the logo, and then once it's here, you can click to publish it. and you can put it, whether you want that to be like in the little search box at the top, if you want it to be, right across the top of the screen or the page, you can create all those different customizations that make your site unique. You can also remove or change it if you have a new one that comes out, but it's really super simple to add here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about plugins. So after you choose themes and then you go into, okay, now how can I make my site function? Plugins are larger pieces of code, larger than widgets, and they're basically things that add features to your site, in WordPress in particular. There's a ton of free plugins. We suggest a number of them. You probably, in your emails that you've gotten from us have seen a few of them already. Some of them are automatically installed. For example, if you chose an e-commerce store, we may have automatically installed WooCommerce for you, which is perfectly created for WordPress. In particular, it's created by the same people. So it works seamlessly with WordPress and building that online store. So there's a huge source of plugins that are free in the WordPress plugin directory. These have also been searched for malware to make sure there's no malicious code and there's nothing, concerning on there. There's also tons of reviews that you can see what other people or what other users are saying about that plugin before you download it. Premium plugins can be also purchased through the WordPress plugin directory. From there, you can, it'll be the same thing as like a theme. When you purchase it, you have to upload it into your site. So when you click on the plugins menu, you'll just click upload plugin, and it's really easy to upload that. It'll just be a file that comes to your computer, downloaded once you purchase it, and then you can upload it as well. Again, these offer potentially more support and regular updates. One of the things you want to look for when you're choosing a plugin is to make sure that it's getting updated and also that it's compatible with your version of WordPress. So like any system that's created, there are updates that are needed, to clean up code or to add new functionality or things like that. Using your, making sure that your WordPress installation is updated is important for the security of your site as well. But it also gives you an opportunity to see, hey, has this plugin been tested with this new version that I'm using, or the version that I'm using, to make sure that it won't have any difficulties on your site or it will function properly. So this is where you can find plugins. You'll basically go to install here on the left-hand side of that menu. You'll click on installed if you want to see the ones that you currently have, or add new to create new ones. There you'll go to the plugin directory, which has a huge list of options for you. You can also search. So if you're, for example, wanting to say, I need a plugin to help me with SEO. By the way, definitely suggest Yoast for that. It's YOAST if you're interested in something like that. It'll basically give you a little indicator within your post or your pages to say, hey, you need more words, you need a keyword to say like, hey, this is the word that I'm trying to target with my page here. It'll give you some ratings to tell you whether you're doing great or if your pages could use some work. So there's a number, I think the last time I checked, there was 50,000 plugins within the WordPress plugin directory. And they can do a number of things like social media interaction, social media feeds, adding in the icons to get people to be able to click to your social media accounts. You can use it for, creating something additional to your WooCommerce store. Like, for example, you have a WooCommerce store, but you're wanting to say like, well, I want this option to export all of my sales into an Excel spreadsheet. You can do a plugin for that. If you want to add in an option for people to sponsor your podcast or something like that, you can do that through plugins. There's literally almost a plugin for everything. I haven't found anything yet that I've considered using and not found a plugin for it. You do want to make sure, again, just like themes, you're looking at, what are people saying about it, and what are some thoughts on it? How many people have downloaded it? If maybe only 5 people have downloaded it, it doesn't maybe give you a lot of information, but it could be worth testing within that staging environment before you go live, just to make sure it functions properly on your site. So now let's talk about creating your first page and post. This is the most exciting part because this means that you've gotten to a point where you are ready to start telling the world about what you're doing and you're excited about it. And I know building a site can be a little daunting and it can feel a little overwhelming if you've never built a website before. Again, not sure how many of you are first-time website builders, but this really helps add personality to your site. It lets you put your personality out and tell people what this website will be about, what the page will be about. And it's super helpful for the long-term success of your business. So pages and posts in WordPress are different. A page is what we consider a static page. It's not something that changes, or it can change. I mean, you can change information on it, of course, and stuff like that. But it's something that's less timely. A blog post would be timely. So it'd be an update, a thought, a review, an article, whatever that is. Whereas a page would be something more evergreen, or like something you keep longer, like a about us page, which is what I would say is the first page you should create. What is this page about? What does it do? What is this website about? What do we do? What are some frequently asked questions potentially there for some people? It lets them know a little bit about your brand or your business. What's your vision? Are you purpose driven? Do you give part of your sales to a charity? These are things that are really important to have on your about page, because they help people to understand your brand and hopefully become brand loyal to you. So the first step you'll create is to create that first page. Again, this is something that is really simple to do when you're in WordPress. It feels a little overwhelming because the page is just pretty blank, but you can add whatever you want to it. So you'll click on pages on that left-hand menu, click on add new. You'll see this little box here, the page will say about us. If you name it that, for example, you can call it contact us, you can call it whatever page you want. But then you just add text, or you add text to create content there. So you can basically add a photo of yourself and then create text to start writing about that. It basically just helps to build trust and connect people to your page. If you're not ready to publish it, just hit save draft. You can save it and come back to it later if you're waiting on something, an image to be created or something like that. You can save it. You can also preview it. I always suggest previewing pages before you publish them. It helps you really understand what the end user, or the person who's on your site, will see when they get to your page. And then when you're ready, you can hit publish. So you can hit preview to see it, and then you can go back to hit publish. Really simple process. You don't have to have everything added in at one time, the first time you publish, but it's important to be able to add something there. So let's talk a little bit about blocks. So like when you're creating a post or a page, you're going to go into the WordPress content editor, which is now run through blocks, which are basically blocks that you can create of text, images, or whatever you want, really. There's a ton of options for blocks, and a lot of them are really super cool. So we'll talk about that a little bit in a second. But essentially, you can insert blocks throughout the page, throughout the post, in a number of different ways. So you can click to add a block from just typing in the first thing. So it'll ask you to publish, what is your page about? So give it a title. Is this a page or a blog? So this is my cool blog. And then I'm going to create a block, add a block of content, and I'll say, here's my super cool blog. Follow me for more updates. And then I can also choose this option here, this little vertical dots, and I can insert a block before this. So if I say like, oh, it's weird to start talking about the blog before I have a picture, then I can insert a block before, I can insert a block after, anything like that. If I have a set of blocks that I love to use, like for example, I really love the quote block, which we're not going to talk about today, but I do have a webinar on that. We can try to share that with you all later as well. But essentially, if I want to add a quote block, which basically makes the screen look different, the content look different, it has quotes around it, it's a real big header kind of looking image. If I want to add an image or a gallery, all that kind of stuff, once I use it and I say like, oh, I really like this, you can add it to your reusable blocks, and it'll basically be something that you can save for later. So if you go in and slightly customize something and say, I always want my image blocks to be to the left of the screen or center aligned, or whatever like that. Once you set that, you can add it to a reusable block and use it again later in the same way. It's super easy to keep your brand consistent without having to go through each time and change the block to be what you want it to be. So lots of options there for adding a block. So let's say, for example, I have multiple blocks here. I have my title, which is Hello World, my H2, which is like my headline 2, which is like a larger piece of text, and it says my super cool blog. I'm going to go into that section and I can say, I don't really want to use this block anymore. I can now choose to delete it. So you can choose to add blocks or delete blocks anywhere within your document outline. Hopefully that part makes sense, but it's definitely something you can add them and do it over and over again. When you click the eye, it'll give you information about your page. It'll tell you how the outline of your page is too. So for SEO value, H2s are important, right? Because they tell search engines what's the most important on this page, or what's the headline of this page. Like that would be where you'd want to write something something super important, like here are the 5 steps to build a site, right? If that's what you really want to rank for, that's what you'd want to write as your title or your H2. If you see that you have multiple H2s or H3s, you can see that in your by clicking on the info, which is that little eye, and then you might know like, I should probably slide back on some of these or do 1 or 2, or change some of these to be something else. It really helps you to just see the outline of your page in totality. So when you're creating a post, which like I said is similar to creating a blog, you can click to add a block, and here you can see a little bit more of like there's paragraph, there's image blocks, there's heading blocks, there's quote block that I talked about here. You can also add a block that's like your YouTube channel video or something like that. If you want to embed a video or something like that, that'll be a block as well. And then once it appears, you click the little click the plus box right here, and then you can do a search. So you say like, I don't want to use one of my most used ones. I want to do a SoundCloud block or Vimeo or something like that. If I have a video, you can just type in VI and it'll pop up some options that are similar to what you're searching for. Or like, if I want a quote block and it's not in my most used, that would pop up there if you started writing in quote. So lots of great options there for adding in blocks. Blocks are essentially just an easy way to organize your website, pages, or posts. So within a page or a post, it's an easy way to navigate them. Also, once you add one, you can move them around. So you can slide it up to be higher on the page or lower down to be lower on the page without having to copy and paste a section of text and then into another place. So you can just kind of move them up and down with a sliding scale. So when you're actually publishing, there are some options within WordPress for publishing. This is especially important if you're not ready to be live yet, or if you have multiple people writing for your site or anything like that. You can schedule posts to go, hey, I don't want to publish this until September 1st at 10 a.m. because I have a social media post that's going to go out at the same time. So I want to do that at the same time. You can go in and click where it says published, choose the date, and it'll let you choose a different date or time that you want to use. If you're like, oh, this is a really great blog post or a really great page, you can choose to stick it to the front page to where it's like, hey, I want this to be like my highlighted blog or whatever. Pending review is really more so for if you're having other people writing, it's an option for you to go in and say, oh, okay, this needs to be reviewed by me. I can review it and then choose to publish it later. So that's just a few options on publishing. Also, visibility is probably important too. So if you want people to be able to see, anybody to be able to see it on your site, public will give you the option that you need for everyone to see it. If you choose to say, I really only want people with a password to see it. So if it's like password protected, then you can have a post that says 5 things you need to do before going to this conference this weekend. And they have to put in the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before they can see it. So choosing that private or password protected will give you the option to let someone put in a password that you've told them. You do want to tell them, make sure they know the password because they won't see it on the page, but it'll allow you to gatekeep some of your content if you really want to do that. Okay, so now that once you're ready to publish, you can just click publish now. So this option or publish, not publish now, right here. Again, before you do anything, I would suggest previewing to see what it looks like first, to make sure that it looks how you want it to look before it goes live. But then also, like we said here, this, or I was talking about earlier, Yoast, this Y right here is the Yoast logo. So that basically means, have you checked it on Yoast? Like, it's a kind of confirmation for you to say, okay, like in my post, I can go down and look and see if there's any red marks, essentially, that I need to go in and correct within this content to have better SEO or search engine optimization. You can look at settings, or you can choose this drop-down option as well. So once you're ready to publish, you want to choose your preferred method, whether that's publish now or publish later. The editor menu also allows you to tailor your overall editing experience, like I said, from seeing full screen mode and then tools like Jetpack or Yoast. So that's why you saw that little Y that I was talking about just a minute ago. And then basically you'll be able to see everything that you want, like you preview everything before you publish it, and that'll let you see what your experience for your end user, or like I said, your website viewer will be, to make sure that it's exactly what you're looking for and what you're hoping for with your blog or your website. So I know we're getting close on time. Hopefully that was helpful. I will suggest something that I think will be the most helpful thing for you. We have actually created a blueprint to understanding WordPress as a new user. If you've never used it before, it's a ton of content. There's a ton of content in there that goes more in detail about our WordPress dashboard, about the WordPress dashboard, about plugins, about themes, about publishing your first page or post, and blocks even. So like understanding what that editor experience looks like when you're creating content. It is absolutely free to you to download right now. So you can go to www.bluehost.com/blueprint. So if you're on our site, just add the /blueprint at the end of it, and it will literally give you every single thing you need to build your WordPress site. If you find that there's any issues with it or you have any concerns about it, feel free to send us an email, shoot us an email about that. And we'd be more than happy to look into it. But we've had this blueprint for over a year, and we found it to be the most useful tool for new users who are building WordPress sites, because it really does walk you through everything in a full blueprint guide with images and everything. We also have a number of webinars that I think may be helpful for some of you who are just joining Bluehost. Hopefully you've had a great experience so far. But if you have any questions or some of the things that I've referenced here, we are going to send an email to you. So we'll send you an email that kind of gives you this deck, and we'll give you the link to the video so you can look at it later with all of my commentary, which hopefully was more helpful than than anything. And we'll also send you any emails about future webinars. We do have these almost monthly most of the time. We did just end a webinar series with Jetpack and WooCommerce. So if you're interested in online stores or anything of that nature, that's a great webinar series to look out for as well. We'll share that out with our customers. And then you should definitely subscribe to our blog. Our blog gives you a lot of helpful guides and tools. So when we create new blueprints, or when we create new blogs that kind of help you walk through some of these things about building your website and that journey, you're welcome to join there. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, the questions window here. I'll try to stay on for a second and answer a few of them, if you, or at least answer those within our email if we can't get to them right now. But we're super happy that you joined us today. Hopefully you found value in this webinar. Again, we have lots of other video assets that would be helpful for you as well. So we'll share those in our email back to you. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a great day, and we wish you luck on your website building journey. Thank you so much for your time.